This is From Destruction to Dignity with Janice Pons. Each week, Janice shares her wisdom to enlighten, educate, and advance the culture in America today. Janice Pons is a mother, author, and free thinker, and your host for our podcast this evening. Now let's join your host, Janice Pons.
Greetings, greetings, greetings. Come on in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Janice Pons. I'm the host on this podcast, From Destruction to Dignity, Clinical Perspectives, Spiritual Truths. Listen, we're going to dive in because we're just going to get to the meat of the matter tonight. Listen, this podcast is all about provoking thought, bringing awareness, and pointing us towards intervention. At a minimum, our intervention can be prayer for our great nation as represented by our flag, our seal. Presidential seal is to remind us of praying for our president and his cabinet because we're going somewhere and it's expecting us when we get there. We want to always remember to pray for the 265,900,000 working Americans who were identified in 2024 as living paycheck to paycheck, barely making ends meet. I want to target those people. I'm believing they're going to come out the gate running, prosperous, lives totally turn around, being a part of the American dream. They struggle, but they got a testimony because they went through a test. Oh yeah, they got a message because they went through a mess. And so they're going to be victorious. So we want to continue to flow together as one, forming a more perfect union as we pray for our president, pray for our nation, and pray for our posterity, our children. So tonight, we're going to examine something that's generated a lot of discussion in our nation. Now, listen, what we have been observing is watching the Democrats implode. Oh, yeah, they implode. As evidenced by what? Let's keep going. Let's go there. Let's dissect some things. Well, what it's doing, as we are seeing this implosion, it's bringing clarity. So tonight, we're going to talk about clarity through implosion. That dynamic that is created with that ties in with our clinical perspective, which is dealing with bullies, because a lot of times they have been presenting with a bully presentation. Maxine Waters, Jasmine Crockett, bullies. Constantly, a constant theme. Somebody may say something, humans say things that are kind of, okay, you maybe could have said that different. Donald Trump has done it. I've done it. You've done it. But we're talking about a constant presentation of a nasty attitude and always want to keep something stirred up. And I'm convinced that some of them are paid off to do it. Now, remember, I said that we're going somewhere and it's expecting us when we get there. Come and go with me. Things are more clear as they implode. Yes, they are, because that's what's happening. As Texas Democrat Representative Jasmine Crockett suggests, this is what she said. She said, our nation needs migrants because, and this is what she said, black people are done picking cotton. Thank you for saying that, ma'am. I am so grateful for the Department of Labor Secretary uncovering $382 million in unemployment payments claimed by thousands of people. The claims were for people that were listed to be over 150 years old, and some were under the age of 6. Under 6. Now, who was monitoring that system? Obviously, it was messed up. Who was keeping records for the previous 4 years? Obviously, it was messed up. This proves the value of DOGE, the Department of Governmental Efficiency. Elon Musk has moved on, but you have some brilliant young people that are still working on that. I thank God for them. They have identified how our taxpayer dollars were being abused. So, the value of DOGE regarding our taxpayer dollars and finding the fraudulent claims and recovering stolen tax dollars was direly needed. When I discovered and I learned what Obama did with the stimulus money, remember all that stimulus money, learning what the Biden-Harris cabal did for 4 years, and subsequently seeing what is unfolding this year, it's so apparent that we have been subjected to a massive money laundering scheme where trillions of dollars were stolen from us as taxpayers, me, Janice Pons, and you, my fellow Americans. Yes, it was. Through how, as evidenced by what? It's easy to throw those words out there. How was it stolen? Through USAID, FEMA, and other agencies, these non-governmental organizations. The most blatant example I can give was when Joe Biden had signed off for Stacey Abrams to get $2 billion to be over some non-governmental organization, something to do with the environment and so forth. What do you think her, and the thing that came to me immediately was, what do you think her salary would have been? This is how they were getting over on us like a fat rat. So they had all these agendas. I love LGBTQ citizens. They're my fellow Americans. Love them, hold them, pray for them. They know me. And they know, and they can come to me and talk about anything. But I'm telling you what, when our taxpayer dollars were going towards the specificity of those agendas targeting our children, that's another story. Y'all, people grown. Do what you want to do. You're grown. But when you target children, it's another story. We've been used and abused as we the people. Our nation has been totally mismanaged. It's really easy to prove at this point. The reason that these players are screaming so loud is that they're losing their grip as their system of corruption, manipulation, and diabolical control. It's imploding. Thank God. Thank you, God, for having mercy on this nation that Kamala Harris did not become our president. She was part of the whole thing, wanting us to pay for transitioning surgeries for illegal immigrants who are in prison. I'll move on. They have been funneling our taxpayer dollars into non-governmental organizations, NGOs, and paying themselves as they got over on us like fat rats. I'm so grateful that Stacey Abrams was interrupted from running an NGO that was slated to receive that $2 billion. She will not get that money. Can you imagine? Like I said, what would her salary have been? What would it have been? You got people around here struggling, making $32,000 a year and got 3 and 4 children trying to make ends meet, guys. 78% of working Americans were living paycheck to paycheck, barely making ends meet last year. We're believing that's going to change. It is. The way President Trump is setting this thing up. As we consider the orchestrated lawfare that was perpetrated against Donald Trump, it all makes sense now. Yes, it does. He was tough enough to take a butt kicking, and he had the money to fight the legal battles that were perpetrated against him. It was all for who? We, the people. It brings me so much joy to see him be awarded millions of dollars as a result of holding entities accountable when he sued them. Accountability. That includes, there are many platforms. ABC, $15 million. This particular venue, for whatever they got to hash out legally, $25 million. Listen, that man was targeted with orchestrated lawfare. Why? On this venue, his account was suspended. He stood up. Other mainstream media platforms are settling as well. Like I said, ABC, $15 million, and that man holds people accountable. Good. Was he? And I can feel some people thinking, well, he was held accountable and he got 34 felonies. Orchestrated lawfare. That thing about what he supposedly did to a woman in 1996, 30-something years ago. Same thing they did to Herman Cain when they didn't want him to run. I thank God that Donald John Trump is our president. Why do I talk about him all the time? Because he's the president, and we got a lot going on in our nation, and that's what I'm called to address. From destruction to dignity, they've tried to take us out, but that man has a heart to take us to dignity. He wants us prosperous. He wants us doing well. He has backbone, and he took and has taken punch after punch after punch, even took a bullet to his head. Thank God that at that split second he turned his head. They would have traumatized the whole world. They didn't care. They didn't care. I pray that every facet of that is unfolded and revealed and totally exposed. All this stuff is exposed. The more that is revealed, the more that people simply have to make a decision instead of being an above-board governmental operation working for us. What we've been dealing with are nefarious plantation pimps who used and abused us as they got rich. They simply did not care about us. It was all about them and their crooked, wicked plans. The money has contributed to so many of them becoming drunk on power and control, and it's easy to prove. As we watch their entire corrupt systems implode, more and more Americans will realize that it's not about Democrat versus Republican. This is a battle for the soul of America and the citizens thereof. We were used and abused, my fellow Americans and my brothers and sisters. We simply were. Some people have to realize that it's like being in an abusive marriage. You have to simply decide if you're going to continue to be a willing participant or stand up and say, enough is enough. That's enough. In many ways, we've just been bullied. We were bullied during COVID-19. People lost jobs and military personnel were fired, 8,000 of them, by the Biden administration. Understanding bullying is what we're going to tackle from our clinical perspective, because we've been bullied in previous administrations. Oh, yeah. Now, and the things that President Trump is doing that's strong, he's simply going according to the Constitution, which was simply ignored and raked us over the coals in the past. Now, there was bullying in the workplace. Oh, God. Anyway, yeah. In the workplace where people, I call it that COVID-19 presentation. It was a specific type of bullying that went on. And there was story after story after story. And finally, some people said, you know what, wait a minute, you can't do this to me. You can't make me do something and tell me I'm going to lose our job. And people have been awarded millions of dollars that held people accountable. Workplace bullying. We're going to look at bullies because families are being bullied all because they support Donald Trump. I've been bullied. I've been abused simply because I prayed for that man. Workplace bullying. It happens on workplaces. It happens in families. It happens in churches. Bullying is characterized by repeated unreasonable actions directed towards an employee or group of people intended to intimidate, degrade, or undermine them. It can take many forms, including verbal abuse, insults, shouting, spreading rumors, physical intimidation, threatening gestures or unwelcome physical contact, exclusion, deliberately isolating someone from activities or social interactions, professional, sabotage, undermining someone's work, their verbalizations, giving impossible tasks, or taking credit for others' achievements. We're talking about bullying, and a lot of times, as of late, it's happened because of political affiliations. Recognizing the signs identifying bullying can be challenging at times, especially in high-stress environments like medical settings and hospitals, and you gotta go to the next thing. But guys, this stuff is real. There are signs, consistent negative behavior, persistent criticism, micromanagement, undermining remarks, changes in work environment, noticeable tension, gossip, or cliques forming. This impacts people's mental health. It increases anxiety. It increases depression. It gives a sense of dread associated with going to work, going to church, being around that. I've got places I will never cross the threshold of that building again. It calls itself a church and you get mistreated simply because of what you believe politically. Are you kidding me? I'd never mistreat anybody because of that. It affects a decline in work performance, decreased productivity, absenteeism, or a desire to quit the job. Strategies for dealing with this type of bullying. Guys, we need to be looking at this stuff. It requires a proactive approach. There are some proven strategies to combat this type of bullying. What would happen if you document everything, keeping a detailed record of these types of bullying incidents, including dates, times, descriptions of the behavior? Documentation can be crucial if you need to escalate the issue. What would happen if we seek support? Don't try to handle the bullying alone. Reach out to trusted colleagues, mentors, professional organizations for support and advice. Sometimes simply knowing you're not alone can give you immense relief. What would happen if we communicate clearly? If you feel like you're safe in doing so, maybe you can confront the person. It's like, guys, wait a minute. I want to get along. And we do it assertively when we say, I feel and I prefer. Assertive is, I feel and I prefer. I feel and I prefer. Letting them know how their behavior affects you and request that it stops. Using the I statements, it's on you, instead of going, well, every time I turn around you, every time I turn around y'all. No, it's I feel. It's on me. I statements express your feelings without sounding accusatory. I feel undermined when this happens. What would happen if we report the bullying, the mistreatment? If direct communication doesn't resolve the issue, you can report it to a supervisor, HR department, or a higher authority within the organization, and you might have to go outside the organization, but there are steps that people can take. There are steps. Providing documentation when you may have to escalate things, when you're being abused and mistreated, or removing yourself from it. I made a concerted decision this year of who gets access to me. It was empowering and it freed my soul, my mind, my will, my emotions, my intellect, my driving desires. I decide who gets access to me. It is powerful. Providing the documentation and witness statements regarding abuse can be powerful. What would happen if you know your rights? Familiarizing yourself in workplace dynamics, policies on this type of thing. They have to have policies and procedures, guys, about bullying and harassment, as well as any relevant labor laws. Understanding your rights can empower you to take the necessary steps to protect yourself. What would happen if we focused on self-care? Dealing with bullying can take a toll on your mental health, your emotional health, even your physical health. Suppose you prioritize self-care by engaging in activities that reduce stress and promote well-being. What would happen if we did that, where it's going, you know what? I'm going to focus on me. I'm not going to sit here and let these people browbeat me. Document these things. Spending time with loved ones where you take care of yourself, exercising, engaging in hobbies, stress-free activities, where this bullying type presentation can wear you out. Collective efforts from members of a team can go a long way. Here's some ways to foster a positive, supportive work environment, church environment, home environment. open communication where we encourage dialogue about issues and create a safe place, a safe space for us to express our concerns without fear of retaliation. And if you file something with the EEOC and it's found that you have been discriminated against, if they do it again, there's another category called retaliation. There are places that, workplaces are required to have anti-bullying policies in place. Development of clear policies are in place. It's a requirement. Listen, training, talking about these things, keeping people safe, leading by example, by leaders, managers. The last thing that should happen is that a pastor or a leader of an organization is the one leading the bullying and abusing people from pulpits. Setting positive examples should be what we do, where we influence the overall culture of the workplace or church or the family, encouraging team building, not browbeating people and tearing families down, guys. Team building activities, strengthening interpersonal relationship should be our lot in life, where we reduce the likelihood of bullying. What have we looked at tonight? Clarity through implosion, because when implosion happens, it brings a lot of clarity. And our clinical perspective is dealing with bullies. There should be no place for it. Listen, we are going to continue to lean into these destructive patterns. It has to be called out for what it is. This podcast, From Destruction to Dignity. I am so invested in our posterity walking in dignity of who God has called them to be. Oh yeah, that we are empowered, and it is a good thing as we go from destruction to dignity. Clinical perspective, spiritual truths. Listen, our spiritual truth is that we are filled with the power of God and His love. Greater is He that is in us than he that is in this wicked world. Listen, you can't tell me we can't change this nation. We're going somewhere. It's expecting us when we get there. Come and go with me. Keep coming back. I appreciate you. I love you. I'm praying for you as we go together from destruction to dignity, clinical perspectives, spiritual truths. I will see you next week. Good night.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of From Destruction to Dignity with Janice Pons. Janice's mission is to provoke thought, bring awareness, and point people towards intervention when needed. As a reminder, this show is not therapy, but for educational purposes only. For more information, check out JanicePons.com or follow her on social media.
We are gun-powered, strength is ours, liberty, been set free, education, affirmation, dedication, information, revelation.